Welcome to our show, everybody. Good evening. This is your host, Cindy Gomez-Schempp, and Duke Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
Yeah, there he is. You're listening to a Mexican Crossing Lines with Rona Radio. We are doing everyday reports on what is happening in our country and around the globe with the coronavirus. So tonight I am going to be focusing on underlying conditions. There is a lot of heightened awareness now that we need to use social distancing and we need to stay at home. We need to avoid going out whenever we can. If you don't have to go out for an essential, medical appointment, resources for food, for fuel, etc., don't go out. If you can find a way to have it delivered to your house, do that instead. We are taking extreme measures now, but we haven't talked about people with underlying conditions because they are part of that at-risk group. Everyone is just talking about older people, but we have to talk about all of those who have underlying conditions. I'm going to be focusing on that today. But first, I want to thank everyone that has been sending us information. If you have a business, a local business, which we want to support during these times, that is changing up your business model, doing deliveries, let us know. We will provide a free of charge announcement so that we can help support our local businesses during this time. And Duke, how can folks contact us, send us information, leave a message, and follow our social media?
That would be great. And welcome to the show, everybody. You can do a call-in and leave us a message. That's one easy way of getting information to us. It's 701-566-0917. Again, that's a call-in line. You can record up to 3 minutes. 701-566-0917. If you want to send us email, you can send an email to cindy@kpppfm.com. or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. You can also go to our Facebook site at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, the People's Press Project of Mexi-Can, and also you can go to our website at kpppfm.com, and you can find all of our past shows there. It's all up to date. I got everything done this week, so all the shows are on there. And you can go find, under programs, you can find the Mexican Crossing Lines, and you can look at our other programming. You can also comment on any of those shows, and you can send us a web form from that website. And also, when you're there, please don't hesitate to go to kpppfm.com/donate. Make a tax-deductible donation to our station so we can continue to operate and continue to put out the news that you will only get here.
One of those businesses that I want to highlight is changing up their business model is Pepper's Sports Cafe. They're in Fargo on South University Drive. You can call them at 701-232-2366. Starting March 23rd, they will be offering a condensed takeout menu. You can call between the hours of 12 and 2 p.m. and between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. Go check them out at Pepper's Sports Cafe on Facebook and make your orders on phone. All right, let's get to today's show. I want to start off by talking about the numbers in the United States of cases. So we are going to go to World Meter, and the World Meter is telling me that right now the total cases of coronavirus in the United States are 32,783 cases. That's 3,783. I know our numbers never match up because by the time that we get
set them up an hour early and they go up.
And the numbers go up. Yes, it's incredible. And you can see that happening in real time. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
The number of deaths has gone up to 416. Number of recovered is at 178. The numbers are increasing in states like New York. They have 58 new deaths, Duke, in New York. Yeah. And 114 total deaths. So there are currently 15,054 cases in New York alone of active cases.
Wow.
And we are continuously doubling and doubling and doubling our numbers. every few days with this coronavirus. So we are not flattening the line yet, but we definitely have to do that. Looking at the world numbers, there are currently 329,862 cases of coronavirus, with 14,378 reported deaths and 97,846 total recovered. That's worldwide.
Wow.
Now, they have reported the second case of coronavirus here in Clay County.
Wow.
Yep. And, this is just the tip of the iceberg because, again, we haven't been testing. We're not able to test everyone. In fact, the press conference with the task force on coronavirus today told us Vice President Pence said they're still not recommending for people to be tested if they don't have symptoms. So keep in mind that in the coming week, as more tests become available, those numbers are going to spike. We also have a message for everyone from the mayor of Moorhead about our public services and what to do during the coronavirus in terms of getting your information from government, local government. Here he is.
Hello, everyone. COVID-19 is disrupting daily life around the world and here in Moorhead, Clay County, in our metro area. As we all know, it is not business as usual. Our lives are disrupted. Our restaurants, service industries, our educational systems, and access to goods and products are adversely affected. Displaced employees, affected businesses, institutions, and residents are navigating the ever-changing conditions, working to remain healthy and eager to regain their normal routines and livelihoods. Yet, as this situation unfolds, I am not surprised to hear uplifting stories about our people and our businesses. Businesses are providing free meals to students. They're offering temporary jobs to displaced workers, people sharing supplies with one another. Keep it up and continue telling these great news stories. I am more proud of each and every one of you all. I also want to assure you that the City of Moorhead, Clay County, and Moorhead Public Service are working together to ensure essential public services continue uninterrupted for our community. All critical public services provided here in Moorhead, police and fire protection, traffic control, water, electric, wastewater, and solid waste pickup continue to be available. Please be assured Moorhead is prepared to deliver these services without interruption. While City Hall is closed, city operations continue. cityofmoorhead.com has a COVID-19 page that provides links on how to conduct business within the city, how to participate in public meetings, and what facilities and activities are postponed or rescheduled. The city webpage also includes links to public health resources. We thank Governor Walz and the Commissioners of Health, Deed, and Education for their courageous leadership during this time. They are making decisions based on the welfare of all Minnesotans. I also thank the Clay County Health Department. They are tracking conditions at the local level, which will help guide us through these difficult times. Clay County Public Health and the Minnesota Department of Health are the leaders in managing the COVID-19 response in the state of Minnesota. We offer them our full support and will continue to rely on them for advice as we face the difficult days and weeks ahead. Most sincerely, I offer my best wishes to each of you and your families to stay healthy. We will get through these difficult times together. Moorhead proud, and thank you all.
Thanks to the mayor for that message. And this is some news that may ease tensions. There are no evictions. This is announcement that I think is going to be made across all different states, but there are no evictions in Moorhead and also in North Dakota. The sheriff, Clay County Sheriff Mark Empting, stepped in to stop an eviction after a local property management company handed eviction papers to a Moorhead resident, saying, "At this point, we are not going to remove the family from the residence, nor will we be assisting the management company in doing so." Empting said, "We will not be doing any evictions during this pandemic, and courts have stopped issuing eviction notices and hearings." Empting said that he learned of the attempted eviction from an email sent by a concerned citizen. And the eviction freeze is echoed in Cass County, North Dakota, where courts have discontinued all evictions, hearings for the foreseeable future, according to the Cass County Sheriff's Office. Michelle Rides, executive director of the High Plains Fair Housing Center in Grand Forks, has asked North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum to ban evictions during this pandemic, saying eviction moratoriums are a much-needed response to the emergency of the moment. I think that's true, Duke. We have to take different precautions right now to make sure that people are not on the streets.
And it's things like this. This is only the beginning of changes that we need to make, because if you evict people out in the streets, it's not going to be any good for us to stop that curve, to have the social isolation, to keep people safe in their homes. And also, how are we going to pay for things? The federal government has talked about with their loans, for student loans, you can stop payments and not have to pay any interest or even make a payment. But the private loan companies aren't doing that. The private credit card companies aren't doing that. People are out of work. Congress is still dickering around with that bill, because they have differences. And many Americans are wondering what's going to happen in the next week. It's already been a week. After 2 weeks of not getting paid, not being able to work, there's a lot of things that we have to deal with and we have to have solutions for. And, and stopping the evictions, I didn't know that was a local story. I didn't know that came from Moorhead or our county. And I thought, well, that's great. That's a really good example that other people should follow.
Exactly. Also, out of St. Paul, the Minnesota Health Department reported on Sunday, March 22nd, the second case of coronavirus has been identified in Clay County. The county had its first reported case on Thursday, a man in his 20s believed to have contracted the illness while traveling internationally and who is recovering in isolation at home. This new case was reported within a daily news release of new cases statewide and part of the largest one-day jump in new cases yet at 32. A total of 169 cases have been confirmed in Minnesota. Health officials believe the virus is circulating widely within the state and that the identified case numbers are an undercount. I wanted to share the information about underlying conditions from a doctor. There is a lot of different types of underlying conditions that we need to discuss, because those people are also at a higher risk for contracting COVID-19 and becoming seriously ill and dying from it. So autoimmune diseases are part of that. And I know that there's a lot of Americans that are thinking, if you don't have respiratory diseases, if you don't smoke, if you're over the age of 70, or if you're not over the age of, 70 or 80, you're probably going to be fine. But what we're not thinking about is all of the people with these other underlying conditions, which I think is more than half of our population in America. And that should really give people pause. Think about all of the autoimmune diseases. Think about how long it takes to diagnose an autoimmune disease. So many Americans have one and don't know that they have one because they've never been diagnosed. Chronic fatigue syndrome is another one of those illnesses that you have for life that compromises your body. Painful joints, and a whole host of other things, including rheumatoid arthritis, POTS, MCAD, I can't even pronounce this, Sjögren's, scleroderma, Hashimoto's disease, ankylosis, spondylitis, fibromyalgia, lupus, sarcoidosis, hepatitis, Raynaud syndrome, diabetes, mold illness, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, pemphigus, SPS, MS, PBC, psoriatic arthritis, CIDP, MMN, and GPA. I mean, there's a long, long list. And there is a link to heart disease. One of the people that recently died in his 30s had a mini stroke, didn't think that that made him a person with an underlying condition, and ended up dying from COVID-19. So if you have a history of heart disease and you're not, or if it's part of your family history, then you could be at higher risk. Not to mention the fact that morbid obesity or obesity in general can be an underlying condition, anything that restricts your breathing. I wanted you guys to hear from a surgeon that has been circulating on social media that is giving daily reports on COVID. Listen to him talk about underlying conditions. Here he is.
Hey guys, welcome on in. Dr. Vong here. Some people don't believe I'm really a surgeon, a real doctor. So here's my med school diploma, Texas A&M High School. That's me. Texas A&M University Health Science Center. That's me. Now you know my middle name. College of Medicine, Doctor of Medicine. That's my degree. This is my diploma. I'm Dr. Duck Vong. I'm a world famous bariatric surgeon. I know some of you guys might be new to me, but my followers know I am a real surgeon. I've got lots of patients who'll watch me on this. Share this video for me, please, because I want to answer your questions about the coronavirus. I'm a weight loss surgeon, but I know a lot about what's happening with this coronavirus, so I want to get your questions asked. Don't visit your elderly if they're sick or immunocompromised. So I get this question a lot, okay? What about cancer patients? If you're actively being treated for cancer, you know you are immunocompromised. So you shouldn't be out. You can't have visitors. I'm sorry. I know you love your grandbabies, but they shouldn't be coming to visit you. If you're a transplant patient, you already know this. You know you're immunocompromised. If you're a weight loss surgery patient, if you've lost the weight, you're at normal risk, just like Dr. V. If you've lost the weight, but if you're iron deficient, you're protein malnourished, you have low vitamin D, low vitamin C, because your body's malabsorbing for whatever reason, you need to get iron infusions. Listen, you're weak, right? You're higher risk. If you are morbidly obese and you haven't had weight loss surgery, you're at higher risk. If you've had weight loss surgery, but you just had it, you just had weight loss surgery a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and you're still obese, you're at higher risk. Stay home. I'm telling you, rest up, stay hydrated. Super, super important. Okay, let me answer some questions. Amy Reno, should I start my pre-op diet or wait? That's the conversation between you and your surgeon. I don't know what they plan to do. You have to call them, right? What about lupus patients? It's the same thing. If you are a lupus patient, you have rheumatoid arthritis, if you are taking any sort of immunosuppressants, any sort of these medicines what's trying to control your immune system, your arthritis, your lupus, those all suppress your immune system, guys. You know that. So it's really not surprising, right? You know, you take these medicines to control your arthritis, your psoriasis, your lupus, and they suppress your immunity. So you got to be careful. What are your thoughts on the drug chloroquine that is said to cure this virus? That's hype. I wouldn't believe that. Okay. So Jesse Yates, what about COPD stage 2? Listen, this is a respiratory virus. This is a lung disease. You're going to die from pneumonia if you die. So if you don't have lung reserves, this is why morbid obesity is an issue. And we are worse off than Italy. Compared to where Italy was 2 weeks ago, we are worse off. Even though they canceled school. Dr. Vong, they canceled school. I know. Dr. Vong, they're canceling my surgery. I know. I told y'all that last week. Dr. Vong, they canceled the NBA season. Yes. I know. They canceled my concert. Yes. I'm out of work. I know. And we're still worse off. If that doesn't frighten you, if that doesn't make you wake up, all right? No more stupid memes. No more stupid memes. No more, this is media hype. No more posting, if you drank Strawberry Hill, Boone's Farm, you're immune to coronavirus. No, you're not. I drank a lot of Boone's Farm growing up in high school. Trust me. I'm going to catch this. No one is immune to this virus. It's a brand new virus. It's novel coronavirus. It's new. So everybody who comes in contact with it is going to get sick. But everyone recovers. Yes, 80% of people will be just like the flu symptoms. You're going to be knocked down for 4 or 5 days. But trust me, you're going to catch it because it's a new virus. No one's been exposed to it. There is no herd immunity. Stop saying this is herd immunity. Stop saying, hey, I drank out of the garden hose when I was a kid, so I'm immune to coronavirus. No, you're not. It's funny. That's funny, but it's not true. Now, here's the other surprising fact. A large percentage of people, you can pass this virus without having symptoms. For you, you're young and healthy, but you just gave it to your grandmother. And your grandmother's been a 2-pack-a-day smoker, and now you're going to bury her. You gave it to your uncle, who's been on oxygen. Oh, here's a weird one. There's a correlation with stroke. If you had a stroke, you're at a higher risk to die from coronavirus. Think about that.
Wow.
I know there's only so much that we can handle. There's a lot of information overload that is happening to folks right now.
Mm-hmm.
But and I advocate for self-care. We try to do self-care here at home every day. Take a bubble bath. Listen to rain.
Yeah.
Lay down in a room with no lights. Do whatever you have to do to calm yourself down. You can't think straight and you can't act if you're in a panic. But you do need to keep informed. And I don't know why there is such a resistance to getting more information that could protect you and your loved ones. I think we've probably spent more time building up our Netflix choices than we have the information that we need to be sharing with our family members. Now, just over this weekend, I made several calls to Mexico and sent messages, sent WhatsApps, sent to people in my family, telling them, especially in Mexico, since the president there isn't doing anything to help the people, they need to start quarantining now. They need to shelter in place now. They need to do social distancing now because things are going to get very bad very, very fast. And I started to try to debunk myths because one of my cousins also called me. And one of the things that he told me in this call, Poncho, if you're watching, I hope you're understanding this, what I'm about to say, because I didn't want to say it when I was on the phone with you, but you're sharing information that is giving folks false hope. And I'm hearing a lot of this kind of thing going around that, if you drink water or if you drink hot water, when you first get the symptoms, that the virus stays in your throat for several days, like all sorts of things. And we're going to debunk some of those myths. But I really want to emphasize for people how important it is for you to take into account underlying conditions. One of our listeners named Colleen shares that she has COPD and sleep apnea, and that she's been in her house for a week and a half and is going nuts. Hang in there, Colleen. Mm-hmm. You can do this. Colleen, we are with you. Somebody actually replied to Colleen saying, hang in there, Colleen. Sherry says she has an autoimmune disease, diabetes, and had a recent stroke. Think about that. A lot of folks have 2 or 3 comorbidities that make them more likely to get very ill from this virus. And she says she's also immune suppressed, and she's 59. She's just glad that, she's still on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing video chats with kids and grandkids, and that is helping. So lots of different things that we haven't talked about and haven't been taking into account. I mean, that really means that half of the American population is at a higher risk. I don't know why we still haven't made the order that all non-essential activity needs to cease and people need to shelter in place. I was praying that the president was going to make that announcement today. It did not happen. And my heart is very, very heavy because it did not happen. Because the reality is that although many states have already made the suggestion, those that have not explicitly made the order are seeing people just hanging out with each other. I saw a post from someone on social media talking about the fact that they saw a number of their friends on social media posting about dinner dates that they did with other couples.
Oh, really?
Play dates for their kids with other children. And I don't get it, Duke. I mean, what is it that people don't understand about stay at home?
Well, again, it's one of those things that we're not used to having to do any of this. How many of us have actually been in quarantine? Like when I worked in the hospital, there'd be people in quarantine. Sometimes it would be you'd have to gown up and do all this stuff to go in the room. And I drew blood. I was a blood drawer. And I was back in the 70s, so it's like in early 80s. But it was like, you had to take all these precautions. So, if you've never been used to doing that and actually living that way. When I was young, my sister had meningitis and our family was quarantined. We had to stay in the house. And I remember it was summertime. My friends would be outside playing. I'd be like, I want to go out there too. But Mom's like, you can't leave the house. We're all staying here because we don't want to give anybody this viral infection, And since we're not used to doing that, and also I think that there's a shock of disbelief that this is really happening. It's easy to say, people are exaggerating this. This stuff's made up. We don't know enough yet. And yet these numbers keep on climbing. And we don't know enough yet. And that's why we have to take every precaution, even if it doesn't feel like it's necessary. Take those precautions. We're not disciplined to do that. So we're like, okay, well, let's go to the park. Hey, let's play some basketball. You break it right away.
We've been under quarantine for how long now? Has it been a week or?
Yeah, it's been a week.
Okay. It's been longer than a week, I feel.
Yeah.
It's been longer than a week, I feel. And in that time, we have had 2 visitors. We've had 2 visitors. I am sorry to those visitors that I did not open the door.
Yep.
The first visitor, I didn't even know who she was. Some stranger was knocking at my door with their dog, and I did not open the door because we have people that are at higher risk in our home. So, no, we cannot have visitors. You have to refrain. I think that for some of us, we have it in our head. We know we're not supposed to have visitors. We know we're not supposed to go out unless it's essential. And we go outside and somebody sees you and they reach out to shake your hand and all of a sudden you're shaking hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen, and this is not a joke, a new trend on social media, and it's making me sick, literally making me sick, because this new trend is people posting stories, heart jerker stories, about how they decided to break the rules of social distancing and they're posting this in a congratulatory fashion to themselves because they're proud of the fact that they broke the social distancing in order to give someone a hug, in order to comfort someone who's feeling anxiety or loneliness or depression. You're taking your life at risk, and you're putting other people's lives at risk too by becoming contaminated when you do that. So, you really do have to practice social distancing. No more hand shaking, no more kissing, no more hugging. Folks, you have to do this, and you definitely have to stay at home. I wanted to share a news story from HLN Media, which is the Morning Express. This is the Morning Express show with Miss Mead, and this is a terrifying case, but I wanted to share it in its entirety. Please listen very carefully to this very healthy man, has never smoked, has never taken drugs, runs for an hour a day. I mean, how many Americans can say they live that kind of lifestyle and are prepared for this? And he was touch and go. He nearly died, and he described the harrowing experience that he just went through with COVID-19. Take a listen. Miss Mead.
Good morning. It's 30 minutes past the hour. We're going to say good morning together now to a guy in Ohio in his hospital bed because he's being treated for the coronavirus right now. Now, at first he said, I didn't think I would survive.
Protect yourselves. Do not go in the crowds. Do not shake hands. Stop hugging each other. Wash your hands continually. They don't know how I got it. No one in my circle has been sick or exposed.
Kevin Harris is joining us now. Good morning from, I think, St. Joseph in Warren, Ohio. And Kevin, at least you have the breathing apparatus out of your nose. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just found out 2 days ago I'm gonna live. I'm actually excited.
We're excited too. Was it that bad? Were you touch and go?
Oh, no, it wasn't touch and go. It was all go. It was bad.
Did they tell you in what critical condition did it put you in that bad of a condition? Why don't you tell me about how you felt, Kevin?
Well, actually, I run on an elliptical for an hour every day. And my diet is really strict. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I've never done drugs of any kind. I'm super healthy. Even my heartbeats per minute at rest are 40 beats per minute.
Oh, wow.
So I'm in pretty good shape. And the virus was like, oh, I'm going to fix you. You think you're healthy? Let me show you what I can do to healthy people. And it started turning my lungs to glass.
That is such an incredible way to describe it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The more I rest, the sicker I got. And it's really weird because it lets you feel better when you lay down, when you breathe slow. But the whole time, your lungs and your body is defeating the whole purpose. You start to turn to glass and it crystallizes and more of your lung capacity is taken away from you. But when you get up to move, your air drops to half, your air consumption, you choke, you throw up, the pain, the headache, everything comes back when you move. But that's what keeps you alive. It helps your immune system to fight back. But the virus makes you feel good about laying down. It's almost like a high because you get this feeling that I just want to lay here forever. But you know if you breathe, you're getting less and less and less oxygen. And sooner or later, you're going to go into respiratory failure and cardiac arrest. So
they make you get up then?
Oh, my God, yes, they make you get up. And when they make you get up, you throw up, you cry like a little baby. And I can remember the first time it happened. After I threw up, I could breathe. So the next time around, I tell the nurses, no matter how much I beg, do not lay me back down. Make me go through it. It takes about 20 minutes to go through one of those episodes. But once you get to the other side of it, you can breathe a little bit better. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. You think you're going to die during one of those episodes. You know you're going to die, but then you don't. When just the opposite, when you lay in the bed, the fever goes away, the headache goes away, the body pains go away. You feel this relief come over your whole body, and it's killing you.
Wow. Kevin, I have never heard anybody explain these episodes as well as you just did. Now I can see why there's such panic and alarm about ventilators and why people need ventilators and they're afraid they don't have enough in the hospital system in the United States. Did you have to be on one?
No, they did everything they could to keep me off a ventilator. And that's, another one of those misconceptions. I know they're only trying to help and keep people from panicking. But if you don't breathe on your own and your immune system does not kick in, you are going to die.
Kevin, I think that your words can be a big wake-up call for a lot of people who might be gallivanting around on a beach or, out saying, oh, I'm young. You got some advice, I bet?
Well, I'll tell you this. I didn't know I had the coronavirus. I thought I had the flu. Even when I came in the hospital, every doctor in this hospital said, you don't have the symptoms. It's not that bad. It doesn't go this way. It doesn't go that way. You have some very, very bad pneumonia. Until 3 days later when the test came back and they're all sitting there with their mouths open like, we don't know what to do. When your doctor says to you, there's nothing we can do and you need to pray and beg God for mercy. I never heard a doctor do that before, but I heard that in this situation. And I thought, that's what I said. Are you actually saying this to me? And, it came down to one of those moments of truth where they can either lie to you or they can tell you the truth because one day they got to see God too. And that's what it came down to. No one could tell me I was going to live.
Are you St. Joseph's first coronavirus patient?
Actually, I am. And I'm the first one in our valley in the county. And the thing about that was I own a body shop and construction. We do a bunch of other things. So I see 30 to 40 people a day, most of which I've never met before. But because I'm so, public and such a major public profile, I tend to find times to be alone for days at a time. So it just so happened the 10 days before I got sick, I hadn't spoken to anyone closer than 7 or 8 feet. And most of the places I went out of town. So people didn't know me, so I didn't have to talk to people. I was just in a Kevin mode and I didn't want to be bothered. When I got sick, my son was coming home from school for spring break. My employees wanted to come over and check on me. And I wouldn't let anybody in the house. I kept telling them, you cannot come in here. Whatever I got, it is bad and you don't want this flu. Because the doctor saw me for 30 seconds and no test, no nothing, said, man, you got the flu really bad, and gave me Tamiflu and sent me home. And fortunately, that was the only place I had gone to. Now, the killer of all that is that law thing. I kept laying in the bed because I felt better when I laid still. And then one day I realized I'm not going to be able to breathe the next time I have an episode. And they got me to the hospital. And then, like I said, 3 days later, I got the coronavirus. No one thought I had it.
And it felt completely different to you. Isn't it strange how some people report, oh, I just had a sore throat, a bit of a cough. Well, other people like yourself, an exerciser, only 55, it has you in a hospital bed. Kevin, what are they telling you right now? How long may you have to be there? You've been there 11 days, I think. How are you now?
Well, to be quite frank with you, yesterday they said, there was nothing that we could do for you when you got here, so you're getting better and you're not on oxygen anymore. So you can go home and ride the rest of this out. You don't have a fever, haven't had a fever for 3 days. The problem is they said you have to be in total isolation, but you're not strong enough to walk. So somebody has to take care of you. I'm like, what? How do I be in total isolation, but somebody has to take care of me? And then I said, how do I get home? Oh, we're going to call you a cab. Okay, so you're going to call me a cab? Who's going to drive the cab? My kids aren't going to come and get me. I'm not letting them anywhere near me. And, well, I asked them, are your kids going to take me home? They looked at me like I was stupid. So now, we don't know what we're going to do. I do know that until I test negative, they're going to have to pull me out of here kicking and screaming and just throw me out of the hospital, because I was lucky and fortunate that I did not expose hundreds of people that I normally see during a week to this virus, simply because I wanted to be alone. So God had me in that mode where I just wanted to be alone for a while, but it saved my community. And now you want to throw me out there. I haven't had a negative test. I've actually had 5 tests. The first 3 came back bad. The 4th one came back, and then they did a 5th one 4 days ago. And when I asked for the results, they said, well, the CDC said we took it too soon, so we don't have any results, but we're going to send you home. And like I said, now they're trying to figure out, how do you send me home to total isolation, but I got to have somebody take care of me because I can't walk?
You know, that might be the first time that a complication like that has been illuminated for us, and that is, are you strong enough once you have this to go home, but you have to self-care as well as self-isolate, and that in itself, for many people's conditions, will be a contradiction. Kevin Harris.
Exactly.
And Kevin Harris, who's joining us right now from his hospital bed, I'm telling you, in Warren, Ohio. And he also wanted to point out, too, that he hasn't gone to exotic places. He went to Cleveland. That's as far as he got. And somehow it's come down with coronavirus. Hey, Kevin, how are you passing the time?
Robin, I am so sick, I do not care.
Got it.
I don't care if I sleep in the dark. I don't care if I be alone. You know, one thing is that the healthcare workers are those, I mean, you talk about heroes. They come in here with smiles. They have children. They've even got people in the community ostracizing them for taking care of me. And these people are risking their lives and the lives of their families, but the community is rejecting them because everybody's scared of the virus. I've never seen anything like it. And yet
let's not do that, right? They are the heroes.
Yeah, and they know what I've been through. Imagine, they don't want this, but they've had to listen to my story 100 times, how it takes me an hour to get to the bathroom. My bathroom is 50 feet away from my bedroom, and I'd have to go 10 or 15 feet and lay on the floor for 20 minutes to catch my breath and then continue to the bathroom. I mean, this is real. And this is one of the reasons why they don't want to send me home now, because they already know I went through 6 days where I crawled to the bathroom or I made a ham sandwich on the floor of my kitchen because I couldn't get up against the counter and the table to put Miracle Whip on my sandwich. I ate my sandwich on the floor with my employees standing outside the door begging me to let them in the house. And I told them, no, they can't come in here. This is bad, Robin. It's going to be really bad for a lot of people.
Kevin Harris, we are all ears, and we're all hope for you, too, that you continue to get better. I'm going to ask our producers to keep in contact with you. If we can send you right now a mental get well card, we all are. And Kevin Harris, what a strong guy. Hey, you know what I'm really grateful for? Your voice, your diaphragm, your breathing. You sound healthy. Your voice is strong. And for that, Kevin Harris, we are so grateful. Thank you.
And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And get better. And we mean it. We'll go to a break. We'll be right back. It's Kevin Harris.
That is the most terrifying story I have heard to date.
Me too.
And I wanted to play the whole thing because it exposes so many things about how dangerous this coronavirus is that nobody is talking about.
Yeah.
What kinds of things stuck out for you?
Well, his whole description of, the symptoms, and what he was going through, how his lungs were crystallizing, and how as he laid down, it was like the virus is almost fooling him,
He was feeling better and
feeling
better.
but actually he was getting worse. That to me that sounds so horrible. And it's like, and then the doctor's saying on the thing, we're all going to get it. Most of us are going to get it. It's like, oh my God, I want to do everything I can to make sure that virus doesn't enter our household.
And here's what he said. And this is this is coming from a man that just survived it. He said, I know that people are talking about the ventilators and how much we need ventilators, and ventilators are going to make the difference between life and death. But the reality is, he said he was not put on a ventilator. They would get him up, they would make him stand, and he would go through these fits because having to stand up when you can't breathe, it feels like you're drowning. It feels like you're drowning. If you are an asthmatic, if you've had bronchitis, pneumonia, you know what I'm talking about. You're coughing, you're hacking to the point you feel like your head is going to blow up. And so the incentive, especially in a person with a weakened immune system going through this virus, is not there. The incentive to get up, the incentive to move, the incentive to try to keep breathing is not there. And that's why it's so terrifying, because you want to lay down to get rid of the pain.
I could understand that.
And they had to help him. He had to have nurses hold him up, force him to stand up, and he threw up and he coughed and he went through this horrible thing, but then he could breathe a little bit. So by doing this over and over, they literally saved his life. Notice that it dawned on him that he was dying. He said, you feel this relief coming over you, and it's killing you. The sense of relief will kill you.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, too, that stood out for me is that the aftercare. I mean, who's going to take care of him? I mean, who's going to, what happens when someone has this and they don't have anyone at home? What's going to happen? And it's like the aftercare, because you got to clear people out of the hospital. And, so it's like, that's a really tough part too, I think.
And he said that in his opinion, the reality is, after having survived this, the reality is, if you can't breathe on your own and your own immune system does not kick in, you're going to die. Those were his exact words.
Yes, it was.
And it was a very sobering statement coming from someone that runs an hour a day, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, never did any drugs in his life, and has a very strict diet. Healthy man, 55, boom, almost died. And here's even something more chilling. On top of all of that, this guy doesn't have underlying conditions, presumably. This guy is healthy as a horse, right? He was on his own. He went to Cleveland. He was on his own the majority of the time. He was self-isolating because he just wanted to be alone. Normally, he sees 200 to 400 people a day.
Exactly.
In his auto body shop.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that has extreme contact with people on a daily basis. He could have infected hundreds, if not thousands of people in a week's worth of work. But for the 10 days prior to him coming down with this virus, he was isolating. And so he went to the doctor. The doctor sent him home with Tamiflu. His neighbors, his friends, his family, and his coworkers were coming over to try to do the neighborly thing and care for him. Think of how many people that come down with this virus that are going to need help because they're alone at home are going to open that door to people that are bringing them over soup, that want to help them clean their house or do their laundry or what have you. It's going to be very difficult to resist the urge to let someone help you when you're going through this virus. This guy had the wherewithal to tell the people outside, you can't come in. What I have is so awful, I can't give it to you. His conscience would not allow him, even though he had to crawl across the floor for days to go to the bathroom and to pause every so often to catch his breath. It would take him an hour to go 50 feet in his home, crawling on the floor to go to the bathroom. He had to eat a sandwich on the floor because he couldn't stand up. Do you understand how badly he needed help? And he still told everyone, don't come near me. We have people in our town that are still going out to bars. They're still trying to, we have people all over social media complaining about the fact that they see people going on play dates, dinner dates. If you have not heeded any other warning, please share and listen to this story of Kevin.
Yeah.
Because even with everything that we have heard, people are just not taking this seriously.
No,
they're
no.
just not. And the kinds of things they're saying about stop panicking and don't you're going to kill commerce because of this, and I don't think we have to kill our economy, and our response doesn't have to be this bad. We need to stop doing that right now. We're going to have a hospital shortage. If you could bring up the hospital shortage graphic, I want to share with people how bad this is really going to get. And by the way, this is already happening for 3 shows in a row. I have told you hospitals are running out of supplies. Hospitals are running out of equipment. The staff are now reusing masks and other safety equipment. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Everything that doctors have been taught about making sure that people don't get sick requires them to not reuse medical supplies. And yet, we are now in a situation in a lot of places across this country where hospitals are not going to have the sufficient safety equipment for their staff to treat people. And if that weren't bad enough, the shortage is in U.S. hospitals is warning that they're so strapped for cash without some kind of financial relief, they won't be able to meet their payrolls in a matter of weeks, and they'll be forced to close their doors while the coronavirus is surging. American Hospital Association and 3 hospital chief executives spanning the country said in a conference call Saturday that a federal directive this week urging the cancellation of elective procedures to conserve scarce resources for coronavirus patients is halting the type of service that produces the most revenue. So the fact that they had to cancel all the other non-surgical procedures is costing them money, and they can't buy the critical supplies because when they get the delivery from the private vendors, they're required to pay cash upon delivery.
Really?
You have to have laundry carts full of money to pay these hospital bills. If you can imagine the nightmare that is compounded by the fact that they're not getting money in because they're not doing all of those money-making procedures.
Yeah.
With the fact they don't have enough equipment, with the fact they don't have enough ventilators, with the fact that our numbers are doubling every 3 days. This is really startling information. The death rate is doubling, folks. Here's a tweet by Dr. Brett Richardson in which they talk about the sobering numbers. The data here is showing that the U.S. confirmed deaths are still doubling every 3 days. That is far too high. And if you take a look at the numbers here, the United States doubled in 3 days, UK doubled in 3 days, the Netherlands doubled in 3 days. South Korea's numbers are going down. What is South Korea doing? Let's check it out. Germany's is doubling every 2 days, Duke. Wow. Doubling every 2 days. Let's take a look at the death rates in the world and scroll down there so you can take a look. In the world, they double every 7 days right now. In Italy, every 5. In China, they're doubling every 35 days. Iran, every 6 days. In Spain, every 3 days. In France, every 3 days. In the U.S., every 3 days. In the UK, every 3 days. Netherlands, every 3 days. Germany and Switzerland are doing poorly as well, every 2 days. They're even worse than the U.S. But this is going to continue. The number of deaths is going to continue to double every 3 days unless we flatten the curve, right? And how do you best flatten the curve? Stay at home. And also wear protective gear. If you're going to wear protective gear, make sure you do it properly. Wearing a mask over your face isn't generally thought to give you extra protection. And wearing one incorrectly, wearing one that is contaminated could actually be making you sick. So let's look at glove removal because I think that's important. Gloves are accessible, they're cheap, they're effective as a form of personal protection equipment. But a lot of people are contaminating their hands when they're removing the gloves. You used to work in a Bacti lab in a hospital, Duke.
Yeah.
Can you narrate as we show the video of how you properly take the gloves off?
Sure.
Because you got to take the gloves off in a way that doesn't recontaminate your fingers and your fingertips, right?
Right.
There's a couple of methods people use, but this is the one on this glove video.
Yep, I used to work in a hospital, and I was quite familiar with this. The wrong way is when you put your hand up above the glove and you slide over your skin and you stick your fingers inside the glove and pull it off. Then you take the other hand and you pull and you pull the glove off because you've contaminated. If you have contaminants on the gloves, you've just stuck them on your skin and then you contaminate both hands. The right way, you grab the rubber with one glove and pull the whole thing off. And then you can take your clean hand and you slide it inside the other glove and pull it down. And that way, and you wrap it's all inside out, so you're not touching
the outside
the
of the glove.
of the gloves that have contaminants on them.
Exactly. Now, here's something else we're doing wrong. Everyone in America is clogging our sewage system.
Yeah.
Because everyone is flushing everything, and a lot of folks have not gotten their toilet paper. They're flushing other things that they're using, like facial tissue to blow your nose, or paper towels that you use in your kitchen. But what folks don't understand is that facial tissue is not made to fall apart in the water in the sewage system the way that toilet paper is.
Yeah.
And even some types of toilet paper are not going to break down as easily. The best thing you can do, the thing we do in the Gomez residence,
Yep.
by the way, this is the thing in Mexico because their sewage system is overtaxed and is constantly breaking down in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So, plus the water pressure is a lot less.
The
So
pipes are smaller, and you don't flush
anything.
anything.
You only in
No.
Mexico. If you grew up in Mexico, or if you grow up going to Mexico, you know you don't flush anything except what comes out of your body.
Yep.
Except what comes out of your body. Otherwise, you do not flush it. Not the toilet paper, not anything. And that would be what I would recommend personally, because we're overtaxing our sewage system. But if you're one of those people that can't stand it, you definitely cannot be flushing anything other than toilet paper. And I wanted to share this video with a person in a lab that's going to show us how these different items that we're trying to flush down our toilets will not break down, will clog our pipes. And the last thing that you want to do during a pandemic is have a bunch of
Sewage coming up.
sewage coming into your house, or having to call maintenance people to come over to your home while you are contagious, or while they're possibly contagious. Take a look at this video. And remember, don't flush it if it's not toilet paper. Here's Tracy Stevens.
And we'll watch how quickly they fall apart or don't fall apart. So we have our 1-ply tissue, 3-ply, regular old toilet paper here from here at the plant, plush toilet paper that one of my colleagues brought in from home. Thank you, Alyssa. One brand of flushable wipes and the other brand of flushable wipes. And we'll turn this on and see what happens. The regular toilet paper is designed to fall apart, and while, as we saw, the plush toilet paper will eventually fall apart, it really is more, its marketing is that it's going to be soft and strong. And if it's nice and strong and quilted, it's going to take a lot more to get it to break up.
The findings? Both toilet papers flushed and broke down like they were supposed to. However, when it came to the facial tissue,
it's just not designed to go down the toilet. Toilet paper is specifically designed to fall apart when you flush it, and facial tissue is designed to not fall apart when you blow your nose in it. So as you can see, it's not falling apart.
and the wipes?
What you're seeing is not much. They've been spinning for 1 or 2 minutes now, and they're completely intact. I think perhaps what you're seeing in the cloudiness in flushable wipe A is sublotion that's coming off of it. So this has certainly been agitated as much as it would have been if it had gone through your toilet flush, and they're still completely whole. And I wanted to demonstrate a few other things that people very frequently will flush that they shouldn't. So I have some dental floss here. That's about how much I use. So we'll plop that one in here. Q-tips. for ear swabs. We'll put 2 because most people have 2 ears. And then we have some feminine hygiene products here. We have a panty liner, and we have a tampon. Okay, and one final thing, I'm going to put a couple Q-tips and some dental floss into this number 5 here. Just see what happens there. In this first jar we have dental floss, and no surprise, it's not dissolving, but it is wrapping itself around the propeller shaft, which it will do in any kind of pump and anything that spins. In the next one, we have Q-tips, and they do look like they might be falling apart a little bit, but they several times have already jammed it and made it stop running, and we'll come back to that. I bet it'll jam up in another minute here. This is a panty liner, and it's just swimming. It's not really doing anything at all.
Oh my God.
And of course, the tampon also. I can't even believe people put tampons
Yeah.
and panty liners and.
Well, people did that
Floss.
again. That's what people have been used to doing, is flushing things, and you just have a garbage can next to the toilet, and you put everything in that, and you empty it daily.
Yeah.
You know, you get one of those cans that the top flips down, and you don't have to see it, but people aren't used to that. And also, in this part of the country, we get tree roots through our old sewer system that was made of
Yeah.
cast iron. The joints where it joins are just coupled over each other. And so trees, as they grow, their roots get in there. So those roots catch everything. We even, the last time we had our main sewer snaked, you know, they put an auger through there, is we had a lot of hair.
Hair.
And
You
hair,
can't even flush hair down the toilet.
yeah, you don't flush hair down the toilet. It takes a long time to decompose, you know. And and I've heard from the people who have actually done the sewage work, is they have a lot of feminine products that clog sewers. So now what people are doing, they're flushing towels, you know, they're flushing paper towels and napkins and all sorts of things. Don't flush them down the toilet.
You know, the one thing I'm surprised about, although I don't flush anything, and I mean nothing except for what's supposed to go in the toilet, I don't
Exactly.
flush any kind of paper, nothing. But the one thing that kind of, and I know a lot of people that I've talked to that I've seen on social media complaining about the toilet paper shortage at shopping centers,
Yeah.
are buying paper towels, they're buying facial wipes, you know, Kleenex, whatever, tissues, and they're using that. You can't flush that.
Yeah.
The facial tissue doesn't fall apart. It's not meant to. It's meant to contain a lot of liquid and still not fall apart, right?
Right.
Because when you blow your nose, you're blowing out mucus. So that is something that we need to get on top of so that we don't damage our infrastructure while we're going through the pandemic. Remember, we don't need any new emergencies.
Yeah. And the thing is that even if you're not doing it, your neighbors are. They can clog the main sewer line
Yeah.
and back up sewage right into your basement, into your house. They could just shoot right up to toilets in the basement, and you'd have all that raw sewage because someone else is flushing this stuff. So we all have to participate and not flush anything except what's supposed to go down.
And, you know, use this time to share information. For those of you who are listening to this broadcast that have allowed yourselves to listen to all of this, we are doing Rona Radio Daily. You're listening to Mexican Crossing Lines on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP, Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves and more information about the coronavirus to your daily lives. And we want you to share it with everyone. Ask your friends and neighbors. Did you know you can't flush toilet tissues?
Yeah.
Facial tissues? Did you know that right now we shouldn't be flushing anything because we could be backing up our sewer systems, and we don't want to do that to our neighbors? We don't have the capacity to deal with the emergencies that we're dealing with right now. So let's not create any new ones. I have some incredibly interesting, speaking of noses, incredibly interesting news that is now making its way around the United States from a UK ENT. And the UK ear, nose, and throat specialist says that there's a potential to reduce COVID-19 transmission by requesting that individuals with the new onset of anosmia self-isolate. A lost sense of smell and taste could be signs of anosmia. A lost sense of smell and taste right now, which is called anosmia, are markers for COVID-19.
What?
Yes. So, and you know, I've just started talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
They just started talking about this. I'm going to read for you the press release from this ENT UK and British Rhinological Society.
All right.
The loss of a sense of smell is a marker for COVID-19 infection. There's been a rapidly growing number of reports of significant increase in patients with COVID-19 presenting with loss of smell in the absence of any other symptoms. So they don't have any other symptoms, sore throat, fever, but they lose their sense of smell and their sense of taste.
Okay.
Evidence from South Korea, China, and Italy now suggests that significant numbers of patients with COVID-19 have developed anosmia or hyposmia, which is the loss of smell and the loss of taste. In Germany, it's reported that more than 2/3 of cases have anosmia. So more than 2/3 of the people that have COVID virus also experience the loss of smell. In South Korea, where testing has been widespread, 30% of patients testing positive for COVID-19 had anosmia as the major presenting symptom in cases that were mild. The major presenting symptom in mild cases and in cases that had no symptoms, there was still anosmia. So, Iran also reported an increase in cases of isolated anosmia, and many colleagues from the U.S., France, and northern Italy have had the same experiences. Professor Claire Hopkins reports personally seeing 4 patients just this week who were asymptomatic except for an onset of anosmia. Usually no more than about 1 are seen per month. So the normally a person that just has a sudden onset of a loss of smell is something that they don't see, or that they see so rarely that it only happens about once a month.
Okay.
But right now,
It's happening a lot.
it's happening a lot because it's connected to the COVID virus.
Wow.
So unfortunately, the people that have a loss of smell and taste in the absence of any other symptoms do not qualify currently as being under the criteria for testing.
Wow.
So they're not getting tested, and they're not getting treated, and they're not quarantined, and they're not being directed to isolate. This is very important. That's why we need these new symptoms to be recognized. And for people that are out there that have a sudden onset of anosmia or hyposmia, to self-isolate on their own, self-quarantine right away. If anosmia were to be added to the current symptoms of criteria that are used to trigger quarantines, and any adult with anosmia but no other symptom was asked to self-isolate for 7 days, we could potentially reduce the number of otherwise asymptomatic individuals who are continuing to be vectors, not realizing that they needed to self-isolate. It would also be an important trigger for healthcare personnel to employ full personal protection equipment around a person that doesn't have a sense of smell or taste.
Wow.
To help counter the higher rates of infection found among ENT surgeons compared to other healthcare workers. So that is something brand new, very interesting. Now let's get to some myth busting, Duke, okay?
All right.
So I told you that my cousin Poncho called me and he said, Cindy, this virus, it sits in your throat. And I've seen the posts about this on social media.
I saw some too.
I mean, like, I was like, oh no. This is how misinformation spreads, unfortunately. He quoted almost verbatim what I saw in these social media posts about drinking water. Unfortunately, it is not true, folks. It is not true. I mean, it's great for your hydration, and you should drink plenty of water because you need to stay hydrated just for the purposes of being hydrated. But no, it does not cure coronavirus. With many countries around the world on lockdown in the coronavirus crisis, a social media post has gained traction by claiming that drinking water regularly will kill COVID-19. A Facebook post dated March 10 reads, "Seriously excellent advice from Japanese doctors treating COVID cases. Everyone should ensure your mouth and throat is moist and never dry. Take a few sips of water every 15 minutes at least." Why, the post continues, even if the virus does get into your mouth, drinking water or other liquids will wash the COVID virus through your esophagus into your stomach. And once it's in your stomach acid will kill the virus. Sounds cool, huh?
Oh, God.
If you don't drink enough water more regularly, the virus can enter your windpipe and then into your lungs. And that is very dangerous, says this Facebook post.
I read that same post. I was reading it and it's like, what? It gets sucked down your stomach. Your stomach acid kills this virus. And it's like, I don't know. It smells fishy and I can still smell,
Yes. Oh, my cousin's like, I like to drink coffee. Or, if you don't like coffee, you can drink tea. Just, the warmer the liquid is. So he added the little twist
it has to be
that
hot.
it has to be hot. And, I get it. We all want to be helpful. And we think that telling people that to drink elderberry elixir or doing all of these other things, sure, take your vitamins. If drinking, some kind of a tea makes you feel better, by all means, drink the tea. But it's not going to kill the virus. That is what I want people to understand. Okay? COVID, here's the analysis. Here's the real deal. COVID-19 has spread to more than 151 countries around the world since first being reported. It has infected over 179,000 people. This is an old article about this debunking, because we know we just read the numbers today is much higher.
Yeah.
The Facebook post first claims the advice of sipping water comes from Japanese doctors. However, Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare lists no such advisory about water intake.
Okay.
On their website or in their document, Prevention Measures Against COVID Disease 2019. So somebody just made up the fact that Japanese doctors said that.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization for the Philippines directly addresses whether or not drinking water protects against COVID-19 in a tweet that they shared that says, while staying hydrated by drinking water is important for overall health, it does not prevent the coronavirus. Here's a newer one they just posted recently about the coronavirus. They're debunking myths every day, Duke.
Wow.
It says, can the new coronavirus survive in hot and humid climates? Yes, it can. It can spread to countries in both hot and humid climates. This is something funny, too, because if you scroll down, you'll see that the other tweet is there. And I want to show people that the World Health Organizations for the Philippines did tweet that drinking plenty of water does not stop the coronavirus. There's the tweet right there. But, when I was talking to my dad about the coronavirus in Mexico, I mentioned the fact that I was shocked and dismayed that the president was being so flippant and was going to allow millions of people in the country to die because he wouldn't recommend social distancing or, because commerce apparently is more important than people's lives, I guess.
Yeah.
So much for him being a socialist. He doesn't care about people's lives. He cares about, making a buck while people can make a buck. But here's the thing. My father said, they say that this virus can't survive high temperatures. So probably the president of Mexico is thinking that so much of Mexico is so hot year round. And that, people will constantly, their body temperature will be up. He's like, the coronavirus, your body tries to kill the coronavirus by raising its body temperature. That's why you get a fever with it.
Oh.
So if you're in a place that's hot and your body temperature is always up. I was walking through the airport a few weeks ago, he said, in Mexico, and in Mexico City, and I wasn't wearing a jacket or a sweater, and I was like drenched in sweat. So I can see why the president wouldn't take more extreme measures at this time. And I was just like,
Oh my God.
what?
Yeah.
No, that's wrong. And you have to correct your parents. You know, normally you respect the heck out of your elders, your parents. But right now, they've got a lot of silly ideas running around in their heads about the coronavirus, and we have to debunk them and set them straight on those things.
For sure.
Because we don't want them to die. From the Kansas City Children's Hospital, we have a link to some of these sites where they're debunking a lot of these. And they come from hospitals and medical people, okay? So let's go through some of these. I'll ask you what you think, Duke, and you can let me know.
All right.
People with COVID-19 may not show signs of infection for many days. True or false?
True.
That's correct. The following symptoms may develop 2 to 14 days after exposure: fever, cough, shortness of breath. Most people develop symptoms by 7 days after exposure.
All right.
Most people have mild symptoms and do not require care from a medical provider and should stay home until they're well. Patients with one or more serious symptoms, underlying conditions like shortness of breath, should call medical providers. Okay, here's another one. I've heard that if you can take a really deep breath and hold your breath for more than 10 seconds without coughing, discomfort, or tightness, it basically indicates you don't have the virus. False. That's correct. Good job, Duke. Most patients with COVID have mild symptoms like the common cold. The ability to hold your breath for more than 10 seconds without cough is not a helpful way of determining whether or not someone has the infection, okay? People with mild symptoms do not need to be tested and should stay home. So taking a sip of water, we already told you that's debunked. You should also gargle to prevent it. You should gargle. Simple salt water, warm salt water. If you're constantly gargling with that, that should suffice, and it will prevent COVID-19. Is that true or false, Duke?
False.
Very good, Duke. It's false. Sore throat is less of a common symptom of COVID. Gargling with salt water may help your throat feel better, but it doesn't prevent the infection or make it go away more quickly. Okay? How about this one, Duke? Drinking water is effective. Drinking warm water is effective at killing all viruses. Try not to drink any cold liquids, and that helps prevent getting the virus. Don't drink any cold liquids because that will help you prevent getting the virus, and drink only warm liquids. True or false?
I'm going to say false.
That's correct, Duke. Drinking water is important to stay healthy, as is eating a balanced diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables, getting enough sleep, getting enough rest. Drinking warm or hot liquids may soothe your throat, but it may help with a dry cough, but it's not going to prevent COVID-19. No, sir. Okay, here's another one, Duke. COVID-19 lasts on metal surfaces or fabric clothing for 6 to 12 hours. True or false?
False.
That is partially true.
Yeah, the clothing part is true, but the hard surfaces, it stays many more hours than that.
Mm-hmm. So here's the facts. Currently, it appears that COVID-19 may remain viable for hours to days on surfaces made from a variety of materials. Mm-hmm. However, most transmission occurs from close contact or droplet transmission, the spray from coughing, from sputum, from speaking, as I pointed out yesterday. Transmission of COVID-19 from a contaminated surface has not been documented. Did you hear that?
Say it again.
Transmission of COVID-19 from a contaminated surface has not yet been documented. So everybody's cleaning all their surfaces. You should, by the way, clean all of your surfaces. But the majority
is a
personal. So if you think that you just you're gonna stave off this COVID virus by keeping your house spick and span, spotless clean, you can still get it from contact and from droplet transmission. So the best thing you can do is isolate. Stay at home. I cannot
Exactly.
stress this enough.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
Cleaning and disinfecting high-touch surfaces, light switches, tablets, doorknobs, phones. All of that is highly important. Alcohol solutions of at least 70% or 1/3 cup bleach in a gallon of water can be used to clean all your surfaces. Washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds or using an alcohol-based hand rub containing more than 60% alcohol. And here's the next question. Taking vitamin C will prevent COVID-19. True or false?
False.
That's correct. It is false. While vitamins are important, excessive vitamin C does not help with COVID-19. And it can cause some side effects like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, heartburn, stomach cramps, headache, insomnia. So don't overdose on vitamins.
Right, and doing vitamins are very important to do. You know, I take vitamins every day, and it keeps me healthier, but it doesn't treat a virus, and it's not treating this virus. So these are really important things to debunk.
Okay, now here's another one. If someone with COVID-19 sneezes, it stays in the air for 10 feet before the droplets go down to the ground, and then it's no longer airborne. True or false?
That'd be false.
That's correct. It is false. COVID-19 is transmitted by being within 6 feet of distance of someone with COVID-19 for a prolonged period of time, like 10 minutes or more. Close contact can occur while living with, caring for, visiting, and or sharing a healthcare waiting room with a person with COVID-19, having direct contact with their secretions from their cough or their sneezing. That can also transmit the infection. How about this one, Duke? COVID-19 was made in a laboratory. True or false?
True.
Nope.
Nope.
That is false.
Oh, I got one wrong. Jeez.
COVID-19 is a naturally occurring virus. Coronavirus has been around before. That's why this one is called Coronavirus 2019, because it started in 2019.
Oh,
That's where the name comes from. It's the name of the actual virus. This particular strain of it is called SARS-2 something. I can't remember the exact name, but
all right.
Scientists are still investigating the origin of this particular COVID-19. However, it is possible that the virus originated in bats and adapted to be able to cause human infection through the transmission from other animals based on other similar coronaviruses that have occurred in the past.
I see.
Okay. Here's another one. I could get COVID from my pet, or I can give it to my dogs. If you've heard some idiot saying that they could give the COVID virus to their dogs, please correct them on the matter.
That's false.
No, you cannot give your dog coronavirus, pendeja. Okay, so false. It's completely false. There's no evidence that COVID causes infection in pets, and there is no evidence that your pet can give you COVID. However, you should always wash your hands after feeding or caring for animals. Duh. If you're sick with COVID-19, you should limit your interaction with your pet, and you should distance yourself at least 6 feet from both people and animals, and ask a family member or friend who is well to help you with taking care of your pet, if possible. Okay, so we have been debunking myths. If you're just tuning in, we are debunking myths about the coronavirus. Here's some more myth busting that comes from, that was the one from Children's Mercy. Let me share another myth-busting link that comes from wildcats.com. Wildcat.arizona.edu. This is the Wildcats website for health, and these are some of the myths that they cracked down on. So currently, here's the name of it: SARS-CoV-2. So SARS-CoV-2 -2. That's the correct name of the strain of the coronavirus. Currently, you can get a vaccine for the SARS-CoV-2. True or false?
False.
That's false. That's false. Yes. To date, there's no vaccine. There's no vaccines. They are examining some different types of treatments for malaria that might be efficient or effective at helping people get through the coronavirus, but there's no current vaccine. Okay. Here's another one. Surgical masks, like the ones that are worn by health professionals, should be worn by all people in the community setting. True or false?
I'd say true.
Nope. And in fact, right now, Duke, right now, we have a shortage of masks because people are all thinking they should wear masks. And healthcare professionals don't have access to the necessary equipment that they need to protect themselves. That is why we are calling this one false. According to the Center for Disease Control, surgical N95, also referred to as medical respirators, are recommended for healthcare professionals only, and they need that protection from airborne and fluid hazards, splashes, sprays. The respirators, these masks that they are referring to as the N95 masks, are not used or needed outside of the healthcare setting. So wearing a loop mask on your trip to the grocery store won't be too helpful. In fact, the necessary use of masks can contribute to shortage of them in the healthcare setting. If the mask that you got from the clinic that you still have, you're welcome to wear it. And if it makes you feel better, especially if you've been having a cough, which you have, then it's good because you don't want to be coughing on people.
Yeah.
But that's why they hand them out at the clinics, right?
Yep.
If you're coughing and sneezing, they tell you to put a mask on. If you're coughing and sneezing, don't spread that around. You don't need to spread your germs everywhere. But do not go out and buy masks right now in this time of shortage. Here's another one. COVID-19 can be transmitted through mosquito bites. True or false?
False.
I saw people on social media asking about this today, so I think it's important that we get to the bottom of it. That is false. The new coronavirus is not malaria, even though they've been talking about using malaria drugs to treat it.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't get it twisted. The SARS-CoV-2 virus is spread through respiratory droplets, which can be transmitted through fluids or breathing when a person coughs or sneezes. Nice try, mosquitoes, but no, not today. Number 7, people of all ages can become infected with the coronavirus.
Well, that's true.
That is correct. That is totally true. Of course, older people and people with underlying conditions, as we've talked about repeatedly today, are at higher risk because they have weakened immune systems. They're more susceptible to dying after they get infected, in other words. But everyone at every age can get sick, as we learned today from the horrific story of Kevin. Kevin's story. If you didn't hear it, make sure that you go and find HNL's reporting about that case. It's very terrifying. Antibiotics are absolutely essential for treating the coronavirus infection. True or false?
It's false because it's not a bacteria. It's a virus.
Look at the big brain on Duke. Antibiotics are used to treat bacterial infections such as strep throat. However, antibiotics are rendered useless for treatment against viral infections, such as the novel coronavirus. Excuse me. Drinking fluids and getting proper amounts of sleep are two of the best ways to maintain a robust immune system.
Yep.
That's correct. Drinking plenty of water and making sure that you get a lot of rest, you get your 7 to 9 hours per day, is absolutely essential to making sure your immune system is robust. Don't skimp on your hydration. Very good example there, Duke. It's never worth it. In fact, hydration and sleep are two efficient aids to recovery on the off chance that you happen to become infected with this virus. Social distancing is an effective means of slowing down the spread of the coronavirus. True or false?
Yes. True.
It is one of the most effective. Maintaining a proper distance from other human beings, roughly 6 feet, canceling large gatherings, are two measures that can drastically reduce the spread of the disease, so that social event that you are contemplating going to probably isn't worth it right now. You know, in some places there, what did I tell you? Was it Germany? Someplace just restricted all groups of 2 or more people. No more than 2 people can get together anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have to practice social distancing, folks.
Yep.
This is a real situation. Let's look at people that are doing things the right way. We saw that South Korea has a precipitous drop in, they're flattening the curve. They're killing it. Here is why. Here's one of the reasons why. Take a look at this. They have set up these phone booths that can test people in 7 minutes.
Really?
In 7 minutes. So they have earned praise for mass testing. They're testing everyone. It doesn't matter if you have symptoms or not. Take a look at this video.
Everybody gets tested, huh?
Everybody can get tested, and it's as easy as going into one of these phone booths. Well, they're not phone booths, but you know what I mean, right? They're Rona booths.
Okay.
Take a look at the efficiency, and they have those gloves. You know, like in the Boy in the Bubble movie where they have those gloves
that go inside the thing.
Okay. So the doctor doesn't ever have to come into contact.
Okay.
They're separated by glass and everything. Take a look at this. This is really ingenious. South Korean hospital can perform coronavirus tests with the phone booth. You walk inside. They talk to you on a little phone. And patients consult with their medical professional over this little phone across the glass. They get swabbed. You can see they're getting swabbed. They're taking the sample from the nose and the throat with arm-length rubber gloves attached to the wall. And then in they go, double gloved. They're wearing gloves on their hands too. And the whole thing, incredibly, Duke, takes 7 minutes. They're equipped with negative air pressure to prevent air leaks.
Oh.
What? Look. They're disinfected and ventilated after every single test. We used to collect samples inside a large negative pressure ward, and it took a long time to disinfect the place afterwards. We used to take 8 or 9 samples a day, but our efficiency has increased almost tenfold now. Now we can take 70 to 80 samples a day.
Wow.
Look at that. Booths are also safer as each accepts only 1 patient at a time. And then they disinfect it. South Korea has been lauded for its mass testing to stop the spread of the infection. And they are efficient. It has tested more than 290,000 people. The country was once the hardest hit outside of China, and now they are rock stars. It reported 152 new cases on March 19, down from a daily peak of 909 weeks earlier. The nation has confirmed 8,565 infections and 91 deaths as of March 19th. They're really killing it, aren't they?
Yep.
That's amazing. We could learn from this. I want those booths. Don't you want a booth?
Oh, yeah.
I think we need those booths. That would be amazing. And folks, if cases of this disease, according to a CNN article, if cases of this disease are not identified quickly and community spread continues unchecked, it could soon overwhelm our nation's medical systems, just as it did in Wuhan, China. According to Dr. Peter Hotez, Dean of National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine. Vice President Mike Pence announced during the Saturday news briefing on coronavirus response that more than 195,000 Americans have been tested for this virus, as cases now surpass 22,000, with about half confirmed in New York. He noted that the number does not include county hospitals or health care labs around the country. Currently, only 19,343 tests have come back positive, said Pence. As officials work to increase the availability of tests, they've also sought to make clear in what cases people should seek the tests. Officials have urged American citizens to use discretion before seeking a coronavirus test, advising them to be administered to people who are symptomatic and not for those who do not show signs that they could be infected with the disease. We want to remind Americans, as Dr. Fauci will emphasize in a moment, if you don't have symptoms, don't do a test, the president said. It is another way for the American people to make sure that we are preserving resources for our healthcare workers needed to administer and support those who are dealing with the coronavirus and other illnesses. Pence was previously said it wasn't necessary for him to take the test, although he is now, and him and his wife have both taken the coronavirus test. We also know that Senator Rand Paul has tested positive for the coronavirus as of today. But, these shortages in the tests continue in the United States, and it's causing a real problem because we're highly deficient. This is according to Dr. Rod Hotchman, CEO of Providence St. Joseph Health, an organization of 51 hospitals and about 1,000 clinics, describing the testing capacity in the U.S. He said turnaround time on testing results has ranged from 24 hours to 4 days, which he called unacceptable. Here we have the South Koreans doing it 7 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. And we're taking days. If cases of the disease are not identified and quickly, and community spread is not stopped, it could soon overwhelm our medical system. So, folks, this is real.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, I want to remind folks that the restrictions at the border, at our southern border, are now in place for the second day. I remind folks that only essential travel will be allowed across our borders. U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents returning to the U.S. are still being allowed to come in. And as we saw from the reporting from Border Network News, it doesn't appear that anybody is being tested upon entering. So that's very disturbing. Individual travel for medical purposes allowed, also for educational institutions. People doing agricultural work, as I showed you on one of my recent shows, are also allowed to cross the border. People that are responding to emergency and public health issues, members of our U.S. forces, and individuals engaged in military-related travel. Those are the people that are allowed to cross. And, of course, truck drivers and the trade. The trade is continuing across our southern border. But all these other restrictions are in place. And just one more item to help remind people to drive home the point that we do not want to overwhelm our healthcare systems, and we do not want to keep the community spread going. We need to stay at home. This is a very, very sad image that's been circulating on social media from an Italian hospital. This is a healthcare worker with a tablet, and the person who is on a ventilator and is expected to do very poorly and could possibly even die is saying goodbye to his family on a tablet.
Wow.
And they're saying goodbye on the tablet because they can't get visitors. They can't go to the hospital and visit their family member who is dying.
Yeah.
When you're dying of coronavirus in a hospital, your family won't be able to say goodbye to you. They won't be able to visit you. And the way things are going in Italy, they probably won't be able to attend your funeral. So, folks, we really need to take this seriously, and we need to do it now. Thank you. God bless all of you. Stay safe and stay at home to stop the spread of the coronavirus here at home. You've been listening to Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
This is 88.1 FM, KPPP, LP, Fargo-Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Good evening.